Welcome back to another episode of Bry the Builder. Um, we are working on the Acastus Knight Asterius, and we have some pieces for the main weapons that have some pretty significant warping. So if you can see, right, a lot of these are not straight. Some pretty significant bending. So some of them are warped in 2 dimensions, so there's a warp along the length and along the side. So I tried earlier to figure out kind of the best way. Hot water works, but I find that a very small heat gun has actually been a little bit easier. So this piece is straightened out. Pretty much, well, all of these long, thin pieces need to be. The carapace also needs a little bit of straightening. It's a little wide side to side, and when it's sitting on top of the body now with the arms in place, the shoulders, it's bumping into the carapace. So the whole thing needs to be brought in just a little bit. So hopefully with the camera a little bit closer now, we will see a little better about what's going on. But now I'm just going to start hitting stuff with the heat gun and trying to get it to settle into place. I don't know that I'm going to be able to see anything with the carapace here well enough to bother shooting that. But we'll see. Maybe we'll back out to a wider camera view for working on that one. So my little heat gun here is just a really simple heat gun. It doesn't get insanely hot. I mean, it'll burn your hand. Well, it feels like it burned your hand anyway. I try not to keep my fingers in front of it. But it's a pretty simple little heat gun. So done. It just kind of settles down into place. Ooh, I'm also bulging my mat. All right, I don't like that I'm bulging the mat. So I think couple of pieces of foam core for insulation, and we should be able to keep going. Okay, now trying to make sure I didn't put any kind of permanent warp into the mats. All right, these two look really nice. think all of those actually sit down nice and flat now. So then we can move on to these guys. It's pretty warped. That's pretty good. A little bit of it. Kind of like when you get the temperature right, they kind of want to go back to the spot, the position that they were molded in, which should be perfectly straight. And then they cool when they're, or they warp when they're cooling. So if we can hit that molding temperature, they essentially want to spring back where they belong. It's all a game of guessing and luck, though, really. Got a pretty good curve to it. They are flexible enough that any super minor last adjustment can definitely be made as it's being glued, but the less stress there is on the glue joint, the better. So, I mean, we definitely want them as straight as possible. Alright, all those guys look really good. Everything's nicely touching down against the surface. That'll help a lot. The amount of warp that was in there would have made those really difficult to glue. These guys all look good, lining them up visually against my mat. Alright, the lines are nice and straight. So, should make it a lot easier to get everything glued up. Okay, so off camera I'll work on the carapace. It's just going to be a little too close. But my plan is as the weapons go together. Alright, so that's the top. These two will basically go into these pieces. I'm going to mount one in each chip LEDs in here. So I have to drill all the way through this. And I'm going to drill through here to put a wired connector sticking right out the back. So right out the back, right out here on this little vent. So I've got to drill forward from the end here, and that's going to be covered up. So I can damage that, that's no big deal. I've got to drill into about here so that I can drill holes from these gaps where these are going to plug in, right? So that'll be drilled out on the end there for the wire. And then it'll be drilled at an angle to hit the hole that's coming all the way out the back. So then the one coming out the back is again really only there so I can tap into it from these other spots and get to the wires. And then that will allow the weapons to be changed and still illuminated. So I've got two really, I hope, very bright pink LED, chip LEDs coming for this from Evan Designs. And so like those come fast. They're coming from Colorado, so those get here pretty quick. So I've got the connectors and the chip LEDs coming. So that should actually be nice and bright in here. And then even once all of this is kind of covered up, right, the light will shine into the inside of this cone. And then behind this grate, you should see a really cool pink glow in there. So, and then these will be all painted up as plasma weapons with the really cool for the Mike's Iron Warriors. We have gone with a purple pink plasma glow on the weapons. So once that's all set up with the pink LEDs on the inside there, that'll be really cool. I also have two much larger chip LEDs coming for inside this, so that once this weapon's set up, it can also be illuminated. I have realized with the Gatling gun here, these barrels not being drilled out all the way through makes it so there's really no way I could illuminate one of them. I mean, it would be possible, but really, like the top barrel, right, or one barrel is the one that shoots, and it just spins around and each barrel just takes a turn getting to fire. So only one barrel ever illuminates, and it's the same spot that always illuminates. But it would, I don't believe that I have the ability to drill this out. Now, I may have the ability through friends to get an alternate version of this printed, that, or maybe I can actually just rebuild this piece using actually styrene tubing, and then I could illuminate it. Oh, I might have to do that. All right. So that might be the plan, to actually redo this with styrene tubing, or to see if my wonderful friend Adam can 3D print it for me. That is also going to be the hope with this piece, is that this is just completely replaced with a giant Warhammer head. And then hopefully Adam and I can design that and 3D print that. All right, so now that all the warping is taken out, my next step, well, almost all the warping, right? My next step is going to be to fix the carapace. And then in the next video, I will start actually drilling out and making room for all of the LEDs in the main weapons that we're going to be working on. All right, so I realized it really, as part of the whole fixing the warp thing, probably should just show all of this with the carapace as well. So with it sitting in place, and see as I try to rotate the arms, they get stuck, right? They don't want to actually rotate, and that's definitely not what we want. We want nice and smooth rotation. So with that actually set in there, I'm just going to start heating it up. Maybe I need to pull the arms off. We'll test fit those, but I don't want those to warp at all. So let's start heating it up and trying to push it into place. It's going to be hard to get it hot enough with the heat gun, I think. It's better, but not better. All right, so I'm going to do this one with hot water. So I'll be back. All right, I went and filled this up with really, really hot water and then microwaved it for about a minute and a half. So now we're going to dip the whole thing here. Not going to dip too long. I'm going to dip both sides. Let it warm up a little. I didn't want it too soft. But we do, because it's thick. That carapace is thick. Bigger container would have made my life a little easier. There we go. Now that's nice and soft. Now we're just going to hold that until it cools. And it should keep its shape. Back there a little. Sounds good. I can also see, just noticed, that there's a pretty good warp here. So, I think that one, I'm going to go ahead with the heat gun. Oh, I have really hot water. Let's just try that. Now, if that's actually straight, everything moves nice and smooth. We pass. Oh, that's really tight. It's like almost no tolerance, but it fits. It's not going to come in anymore when it's glued, but everything fits perfectly. So taking the warp out of the carapace is all that I needed. So now I'll be able to get this all lined up and figure where my LEDs and everything have to go in there. So, all right, all the warps are actually fixed, to my knowledge. There might be more later, don't know.